You're looking to get a soprano saxophone. I'll show you 5 things you should consider before you do that. Find out what those are in this video. Okay, the first thing to consider when you're getting a soprano sax is that it is a different instrument. Yes, it is a saxophone, but if you play it like a tenor or an alto, it's not going to sound good, so you have to approach it differently. Closer to the end of the video, I'll show you a tip that I use all the time for getting a better sound on soprano sax, so just stick around till the end to see that. One thing to keep in mind when you're playing the soprano sax is that it's harder to stay in tune. The notes are higher, so you're going to have to be closer to the pitch in order to sound like you're in tune. Just the smallest change to your embouchure can throw you way out of tune, especially on the higher notes, so be careful and train yourself with some long tones. Another thing to consider is that your low and your high notes are actually really extreme on the soprano sax. On the tenor, yes, the low is really extreme, same with the alto, but those high notes are easier to pop out on both instruments, especially the altissimo. On the tenor and the alto, it's actually really easy to get the altissimo out compared to this. Really on this, I can go as high as altissimo G, and anything beyond that is really sketchy. It's hard to think of a reason why you'd really want to go higher than that in a song, so that's not so bad a thing. Okay, so another thing to consider is your posture. When you're playing this thing, if you hold it in a specific way, you'll get the best results. It'll be easier to play. If you hold it a different way, it'll be a little harder. Generally when I'm playing, I try to hold it around 45 degrees. So quite often soprano saxes come with 2 different necks. This one's a little bit curved, as you can see. That one's straight. When you're playing the curved neck, you can actually hold it closer to your body. It's a lot more like the alto or the tenor, and that way you can play it comfortably in that kind of position. When you're playing the straight soprano saxophone, you hold it at 45 degrees. It means that your head's going to have to tilt forward a little bit in order to play it with the right posture. Okay, number 3, your embouchure is going to be a little bit different, so you'll approach it the same way. It'll be like a natural embouchure around the mouthpiece. However, when you're playing, you'll notice that it has to be a little tighter. So you're not squeezing at all, you're just holding it in place, and you need to get used to this new shape. Another thing to keep in mind when you're playing soprano is that it's a sensitive instrument. You need to play gently if you want to make it sound sweet. If you play really strong, like if you were on alto or tenor, it's not going to sound like that sweet soprano, it's going to sound actually really honky. If that's the sound you're going for, that's cool, but usually when I'm playing soprano, I go for a sweet sound, and I usually use it on ballads, and it's a nice gentle sound. So you need to give some strong but gentle air when you're playing. Okay, one more thing. The cleaning swabs are actually harder to find on soprano. You can't use an alto swab in a soprano, it can get stuck really easily. Use a tenor swab, just forget about it, that could get stuck trying to get through there. So you need a specific cleaning swab for soprano saxophone. I have a link to the Yamaha version in my description below the video. Okay, so here's my tip for how to get better sound on the soprano sax. First of all, you want to be doing your long tones, you need to build up your embouchure, practice all of that. That's great. The biggest thing you can do to improve though is to listen to great soprano saxophone players. One of the people that I listen to all of the time is Grover Washington Jr. Grover Washington Jr.'s sound really influences me, as you can tell by some of my recordings. So at the end of any of your practice sessions, you can just turn on Spotify or whatever else you use to listen to music, and just put on their music, play along. Just have some fun and be critical. Listen to how you sound, listen to how they sound, maybe repeat a couple lines that they're doing. It's not really transcribing. What this is just playing. Just play, have fun, and you can really improve your sound by doing that. If you're new to the saxophone, check out my beginner saxophone course. It's actually free on my website, so you can check that out right now by following one of the buttons on the screen. Okay, see you next time.